we need to enter into a practice of managing our working with emotion and working with our inner world. Emotions are really hard. Big emotions are really hard. We are steeped in a culture. There's a kind of new age trope out there that is a misunderstanding of ancient spiritual teachings, that your emotions tell you, are like messages from spirit that tell you what you should be doing. And so, for example, if you have a strongly negative emotion about something, you shouldn't do it because it's like not for you. And if you have a feeling of easefulness around something, then that's the thing you should do. That's a real misunderstanding of ancient teachings around how the greater spirit talks to us. Very often when we're about to do some of our biggest spiritual leaps, I'm sure all of you struggled with some various emotions: fear, uncertainty, should I do this, questioning, I'm crazy, this is crazy, this is, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to do it, I've got to do it. It's normal for the human being to feel resistance arise before any great leap that the spirit would encourage us towards. And very often that resistance is expressed as emotion. So we really need to develop a practice, first of all, of just being able to name and see our emotions. I really love that more and more people, it's become much more out there, even just a vocabulary of emotions, which, we aren't taught that as children even in Western society, where many children are not taught that. I really love that in the last, 5 or 10 years, just a vocabulary of emotion has become a thing. You should get some of those emotion wheels. The more words you have to describe a thing, the more clear you can get about how you're really feeling. Are you actually angry, or are you just irritated? Those are different. Are you sad, or are you disappointed? Those are different things. So it's really valuable for us to be able to name emotions. There's some wonderful books out there that just name and describe different emotions that would be wonderful reading. Next, we need to find ways of working with our emotional when we are emotional. So some wonderful just beginning pointers, practices that if you don't already have as part of your practice that you could think about working with. Number one is journaling. Journaling meaning expression, right? So whether you journal literally with writing, whether you journal by doodling, drawing, whether you journal by dictating and having it transcribed, I don't care. But journaling, expressing out loud or expressing in a written form is extremely helpful. Second, of course, you can work with a therapist. And that's a very valuable practice for getting to just sort of see our emotional landscape and develop a habit of looking underneath the emotions, right? Also, all throughout history, for thousands and thousands of years, people have recommended periods of quiet contemplation. For example, you may just take a thing that arose in your life and just turn it around and look at it from all different possible angles, just as a way of exploring your inner landscape and what is really going on. And when we do this, what we come to slowly realize is that the emotion that was arising, it's never the full story. It's never even really the real story. And we need to be able to get to that story, that deeper story. That's where healing begins, right? When we can name the true story. That's number one. Number two is that there are times where we need to just not allow emotion to rule us. How do you manage yourself in the midst of emotion to do the thing you know you need to do? How do you manage to do the thing even though you don't want to do the thing, but you really know that you need to do the thing? Whether that thing is pushing the register button on a class or logging into the freaking website to begin with, whether that thing is buying the plane ticket, whether that thing is going to the gym, going for a walk, taking a deep, how do you get yourself to do the thing? So very often our emotions can become a thing that keeps us limited, that keeps us small, that keeps us trapped. And your greater being, your higher self is trying to reach you through the storm of emotion. For example, before every major initiation, it's very common for people to feel all kinds of emotions. And in fact, the more you work with that, the more you start to realize that the presence of big emotion is actually telling you you're about to do something really important, And so developing strategies for working with yourself through the emotional storm is really important, really important. So the beginning of that journey is just learning even the basics of being able to name what is arising in your emotional landscape, and then being able to express it. Emotion is intended to be energy that moves through you, meaning it arises, you express it, and it falls away. Okay? So the more you can learn to express in healthy ways how you're feeling, the easier and easier it will be for you to, the greater you, the bigger you, to be in the driver's seat and not the emotions.